Hey guys, BJ and Game Day back. You got Joshy, you got Brent, as always. Brent, massive week of scoring last week, mate. How'd you go, buddy?
Yeah, mate, it was one for the ages, wasn't it? 12.66 myself, probably well under par, which is pretty insane when you think about it. Probably the first week I've ever been dark about my captain scoring 90. Yeah, 12.66. I think par was a little bit higher than that, mate. There was a lot of big scores floating around, and as I said, one for the ages. Obviously, like yourself, mate, how'd you go?
Yeah, mate, pretty good week last week. I scored 1,403 after the updates. I managed to get above that 1,400 mark, but mate, a bit surprising through the weekend. I didn't really think 1,400 was an even possible score. I thought I was going to be lucky to crack 1,100, and then Sunday came along, and basically the tons came from everywhere. The good scores came from everywhere. Pretty much started on Saturday with RTS and Ponga. Both had good games. And then into Sunday, I thought I'd pulled off a masterstroke. I thought Captain Teddy, 114 points. I think he ended up might have been 118 after the updates. But I thought that was fantastic, mate. And then Damien Cook did the old hold my beer and said, I'll trump that, and scored about 150 odd. So, mate, yeah, pretty lucky to have a lot of those guys that turned up. Missed a couple with Madison and Cam Smith, but yeah, overall pretty happy. 1,403. Managed to jump me up from about 16,000 just up to 10,000. So hopefully we can keep going forward from there. How's your ranking, mate?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest, with that score and what I saw around 12.66, so I was sitting around 1,300th overall, and I didn't lose 1,000 spots. I honestly thought I was going to be sort of 5K plus with the score that I did. So I dropped 972 spots. So I'm back to 2,300-ish overall, which I was honestly surprised. Based on the scores I was seeing, I thought I was gone. But might have just landed in a little sort of spot there where I'll take that. I definitely had worse drops in the season. So,
mate,
considering though...
Look, I got to Sunday. I thought this is my chance. I thought Teddy performed well. I think I entered the Bunnies game on about 1,190, and I thought I had Cookie, I had Tamalolo, and maybe one other player. Oh no, that was it basically. And I thought this was my chance to maybe catch up a few on blokes like the Bunnings Snags and that. And then Cookie just went absolutely massive, and all of a sudden I thought I was flying out in front and taken over by a few of the lads in the weekly. And the Bunnings Snags only managed to outscore him by 20. So if I'm going to catch up to him by 20 every week, it's going to take me 30 weeks and into next season.
Yeah, mate, for me it was just those pods. I mean, everyone that didn't have seemed to go big. Obviously, Shecky was big, but Cam Munster was the big one. That one really hurt. But, it's a week-to-week thing. I think he might have got 40 last week or something like that. It all averages out in the end. But, yeah, it was one of those. Similar last week, if you didn't have Latrell, you struggled. This week because if you had Munster and most people had Cook, but I'm dark because I've gone pretty much Teddy or Cookie every week since I've brought Teddy in before the first price rise. I could have gone either of them this week. Could have, should have. Finally went Ponga. Got lucky in that he scored a try in the last play of the game, basically, and then both of them have just outscored him with he's. So, but that's it, mate. You got to try different things here. I feel like it's always the obvious ones that don't come off, but it was definitely magic round last weekend because there was tons galore.
Yeah, mate, huge. And obviously, speaking of those tons, probably leads us into the Fortune Teller. Last week's Fortune Teller, mate. You can see there, pretty sad. Pussycat didn't get his whiskers because you've pinched it, mate, to have a spoonful of the whiskers, mate.
I would probably disagree with that, to be honest. There was no on-camera agreement whatsoever. I think we were looking for some guidance and direction from our viewers on what we should be doing. I would be more than happy in looking back at the footage, the original footage unedited by the Bogan in what was actually discussed. And I can tell you right now, you danced around the cat food like a Irishman or an Irish leprechaun or something, mate, because I can guarantee you, anytime I talked about cat food, you dodged.
Mate, I got the green tick there, the wild and wacky. Mate, come on.
Mate.
Dead set. We talked about it. there was a conversation to say that a spoonful of bloody wet cat food talked about sardines, and I said, well, I like sardines, so, I'd go the old the lamb whiskers or something like. Mate, what are you talking about? Where's the whiskers?
Mate, I don't have a cat, and I've got no guidance from anyone on what's doing.
It's $1.12 from Woolies. $1.40 from the
fine.
IGA. They mark them up there. Come on, mate.
Look,
What
go back. What's the footage?
What was said in the footage?
We didn't actually agree on anything.
I can't handshake through a bloody screen there. So no handshake deal, was it?
Look,
so what?
I've been stitched up boys before on this rubbish, and it won't happen again.
What?
I can tell you right now.
What do you mean you've been stitched up by?
You used to catching up before we catch up, pulling each other off. You fucking wankers.
Last week you created a delicacy, mate. The wheat bix with the Tabasco.
Look,
delicacy.
You know what I've got in front of me. This is the best I can do at this point in time. I would more likely tend to agree.
That's all you got. One egg. Mate, you got fucking chooks. You got chooks in the backyard, mate. Surely they lay more than one egg.
These ones are worse. These have got, and I do. But this is the nicest, cleanest egg in there. I don't want no shit. I mean, I'm willing to crack an egg into this frigging glass right here.
You don't eat the shell. You don't eat the shell. You don't have to have the shit off the shell, mate. You can just crack it. Nah, look, I tell you what. Mate, leave it. Let's amp up the bet for next week, eh? We're not going a single egg. We're going the Rocky milkshake is what we talked about. Minimum 6 eggs. Half a carton. We're going to 6 eggs. Half a carton.
Skull it.
And we'll go a heaped tablespoon of whiskers.
So what's the So the loser of the bet cops this, or
loser of the bet cops this?
Fuck, that's heavy. Right. Okay.
All right.
Well, then there's going to be much more scrutiny over your soft and pussy friggin' wild and wacky. Let me
clarify because I don't want to get to next week and have you sort of backing out. All right.
Turn it up.
It's a glass of 6 eggs laid by a fucking chicken. We're not talking Easter eggs. And we're gonna have the whiskers cat food. All right, got to be whiskers.
Yep. It's wet cat food.
None of this my dog stuff or the dry cat food.
Wet whiskers, cat food.
You can pick which whiskers you want to have.
What do you mean me? Like it's the loser of this week's crystal ball is doing this.
I've looked into the crystal ball, mate. I've looked into the crystal ball. I've seen it. You lose.
Answer the question.
What's the question?
It's the loser of this week's crystal ball is up for a 6 raw eggs shake and a spoonful of wet cat food. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
What? And you're saying I just get off scot-free this week?
Well, I'm going to let you get off scot-free. Because I'm so confident in my ability for next week that we're going to double it up.
All right then.
Right?
Fucking bring it on.
You're bitching and moaning how we stitch you up. All right, I'll let you get away with one. You're a soft human.
Stop.
All right. All right. Let's move on, mate. Let's move on. Game reviews from last week. Thursday night. Cracking game, this one. My boys Cronulla, 18-10 down at halftime to come back to win 26-18. Injuries galore. Andrew Fafita goes down in the 6th minute. Matty Pryor goes down the 20th minute. Paul Gallen had a cracker. Before updates, he actually managed to crack the ton. After updates, I think he slipped down to about 98. So, as you can see on the screens there, had a wow of a game. Josh Morris scored 2 tries, I think it was, 91 points. Aaron Gray on the wing. Little bit of an up and down game for him. The first 20 minutes were 20 he'd certainly like to forget. Hadn't played NRL in about 18 months, but managed to obviously finish the game there on 90 points, as you can see. And for the Titans, Jai Arra continued to perform. at a sort of moderate level. He's sort of scoring around that 60 to 70 every week without blowing up too much. Mate, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, mate, I'll be honest, this was a Thursday night game, and I was absolutely pooped. I think I turned it on and fell asleep 10 minutes in. I woke up to see Gal scoring next to the post. So, yeah, didn't really catch that one. I think I saw Fafita going off in the first, whatever it was, 5 or 10 minutes. He had 3 hit-ups and 3 offloads, and I thought, I had him as my vice, and I thought, oh, he's looking great. And then, I fell asleep on the lounge, and next thing I know, he's gone. But I will say that a few young guys looking good for you, especially that Ualey, is it, mate?
Yeah, Braden Ualey, big boy in the centre there, and plenty of impact coming off the bench. So probably one of the highlights early part of the season. Yeah, definitely. He'll develop the offload, and hopefully he can come good. Second game of the week, mate. First game on the Friday night, and this was just all one-way traffic. 10 minutes in, West Tigers were up 20-0, and it was all over.
Pizzling, wasn't it? I think they had scored, was it 3 tries in the first 10 minutes or something like that? It was phenomenal. They were just, every time I looked, I didn't actually get to catch this game, but as I looked at the updates, it was sort of every time I had a look at the score, they were scoring another try. And yeah, the Panthers are in all sorts. Obviously, Maddo, big game there. Luke Brooks, all those outside backs for the Tigers did well. I think most of them crossed the line for Pies. Yeah, Maddo was huge. Cleary just seems to keep scoring SuperCoach points despite Penrith struggling. Fisher Harris has been a bit of a shining light for Penrith this season. He's just doing a lot of the hard stuff and proven to be a pretty good buy SuperCoach-wise this year, mate. But yeah, Penrith in all sorts, and a big win for the Tigers. They needed that. But what's doing at Penrith?
Oh, mate, look, that's a bloody good question. Ivan Cleary, he's just lost complete control. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks there. Obviously, this week with the named teams, we've seen a few changes there. Joshy Mansour, Caleb Aikens both dropped from the back line, and a few changes to their forward pack. So blokes like Regan Campbell-Gillard have been demoted from the 17. Time will tell. Hopefully they can bounce back. A lot of people, like they were last year, tipping these guys to sort of, be contenders for the flag. It just hasn't happened. The second game on the Friday night, we saw, a bit of a weird game, this one. Manly probably got off to the better start. They were up 6-0 early and seemed to dominate probably the opening 30 minutes. But then the Broncos' young guys just sort of took charge. Manly got a little bit slow in the middle, and the Broncos just kicked away with it. Anthony Milford had a little bit of a return to form. His second half was probably the best half of football he's had all season. Really ran the show, kicked a 40-20, kicked a bunch of forced dropouts, and I think he might have even set a try or two up off the boot as well. So good game there from him. Payne Haas just continues to shine, playing big minutes in the centre, and doesn't really look fatigued in the games either. You sort of get to that 70th, 80th minute, he looks like he's still fresh. So hopefully as the season goes on, he can continue that. From a Manly point of view, Jackie Trbojevic went well again. Jack Gachevsky scored okay for a cheapy sort of player. And, yeah, mate, it's just all the Broncos in this one. Saturday afternoon, mate, the first game there, we saw your guys come up against the Dogs and made a fairly dominant win, but probably not the big scoreboard that we might have thought we'd see.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I tuned in for this one on Saturday, Arvo. Looked at this one pretty closely. Yeah, fair to say we probably dominated the first half. Looked really good, and on the way to sort of getting the job done in the second half as well. And then it was an intercept try as we were sort of, if the pass sticks, we score and we're up by 20. But instead it gets taken, they go up the other end and sort of swung momentum from there. And it wasn't until a late, Kalen Ponga try off the back of a Mitchell Pearce, what was pretty much a knock on in the next play, has made it look a little bit more comfortable for us. Obviously, KP's been huge, pumped out at 90. He was actually on around 50 at half time and then hadn't really moved the whole second half until that big right foot step on Foran and he managed to run under. Mate, isn't he? He's something else, isn't he?
That was just beautiful. Yeah, look, and I mentioned obviously there with Haas before, he gets to sort of the 70th, 80th minute and looks fresh. Ponga's the same. Ponga, he's just got so much ability any time of the game, whether it's the first minute or the 80th minute. So really impressed by him there, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch Pearce has found a bit of form for us in the last few weeks as well, which has made a big difference. He's really steering the ship and playing with a bit more confidence. So, yeah, we're benefiting from that. But, yeah, we take 2 points, mate, and move on.
Mate, the 5 o'clock game we saw on the Saturday, and the Warriors bounced back with a little bit of form. Again, the Dragons were up early in this one, and I think they were up 18-6 at one stage as well. So really looked comfortable, the Dragons, and the Warriors just turned it on. RTS gained a little bit of form. Nikorima was good. Again, I think he's a massive pickup for the Warriors. I think, obviously, not to talk down Chanel Harris-Tavita or, Adam Kieran, any goes like that, but basically you've got a guy who's established in Blake Green, and this is probably the kind of halves pairing that Nikorima's been crying out for.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, Nikorima is definitely more of that off-the-cuff type player. He was never a game manager, which I think was always the problem at Brisbane. And with a guy like Blake Green as his halves partner, it gives him a bit of that steady that he needs, and he doesn't have to worry about that side of it and can play a bit more of what's in front of him, which I think, as you said, it's his sort of style. So, yeah, bloody good luck trying to hit the Warriors down 18-6 and not looking very good at all to then come back and just dominate. Shecky, obviously massive, and, vintage Warriors. And, yeah, Dragons not looking too good at the moment either, mate.
No, look, it's really hard to follow these form lines in the NRL. They're just sort of all over the shop. So good luck being a tipster. I think what we're seeing is in the last couple of weeks it might have settled down a little bit. But, still hard to tip winners week to week. And then the final game on the Saturday night was an absolute shellacking. Melbourne Storm, 64-10 winners over Parramatta Eels. Let's give a quick shout-out to the Bogan. He loved and hated this game all at once. Cameron Munster, he thought, you beauty, 159 points. But then he had his own player, Maker Sivo, knock out his other own player, Jerome Hughes, get 10 in the bin. Gone. And what else did he? He traded in Gutho.
He's brought in Gutho this week. So
he's got 10 points out of Gutho, the Bogan. He's got Maker Sivo, who's out this week. Jerome Hughes is out this week because one of them knocks the other one out last week. Oh, you couldn't write it. But as you'll see, their complete dominant performance from the Melbourne Storm. 4 players turning up. Mate, let's talk about this Ryan Pappenhausen.
Yeah, mate. Look, I think he was sniffing around. I think a few weeks ago he got named on the bench and then didn't end up actually getting a run or something like that, or he might have got pulled late. I don't know, to be getting a start in that team, like getting a spot in that 17, he's obviously been doing something right. There's obviously something about him, and I guess in the last couple of weeks we've seen some big glimpses of that. He looks like he's very quick, good on his feet, and yeah, the sport of choice. Obviously, he's got some phenomenal point scoring rate considering the minutes he's played in the last couple of weeks as well. I think his first 3 touches on against Para were either setting up a try or scoring them himself. So yeah, it'd be really interesting. I don't know, Supercoach wise, I think he's got a massive negative break even. He's only available at fullback. Depending on what you're reading into this Hughes injury situation, I don't know if you can pick him up, but yeah, I don't know. Like Melbourne just seem to have this crazy ability to find these kids and just develop them into superstars. What do you reckon?
Mate, definitely. Look, obviously, I'm sort of set and forget at the back now. I've got Teddy and RTS there and Ponga and Munster in my halves in the 5'8" role. So I really can't afford to get him in there, and I'm not willing to let any of those guys go. But job security is the big thing for this guy. Obviously, if Jerome Hughes does come back, and there was always talk over Scott Drinkwater from the start of the season getting a spot. So fantastic what he's shown. I love him there just as a pot off the bench for the Melbourne Storm. That utility role. I think he's fantastic in that role. If you bring him on with 30 to go and you've got some tired forwards around the park, he's just going to tear circles around. What I saw from him speed wise looked a a lot like what Damien Cook does, that sort of 40 to 50 metres out, pick the smallest of gaps and just absolutely burn through it. So, very impressive.
And he spent a bit of time at fullback, I think, when Hughes went off. I guess the problem with him is if you have a look back at his track record now for the minutes, is he's been played, his minutes have been 12, 1, 6, 0, 12, and then 31 on the weekend. So, it's definitely not a security buy, but with a negative 70-something break even, if you need to make some cash, there's an option.
Makes cash, yeah. The Sunday game, mate, the first game, and this was a cracking game. I probably, we called it in last week's game as the round of the week. I really thought it was probably the match of the week too. The Roosters led 30-6 on some back of some great football. We saw Latrell Mitchell obviously go down injured and miraculously come back on the field. And then a late fight back from the Raiders just sort of showed that they are up for the fight this year. They were down 30-6 but never gave up and really gave it a crack towards the end there of coming back. But, as you can see on the screen, James Tedesco, 118, turned up this, I think it might have been first or second time this year, but absolute cracking game from him. Set up, I think, 3 tries and scored 1 himself. Siwa Takiaho had a cracker of a game as well. And as you can see there for the Raiders, Jack Whiten actually continues to play some really, really good football in that 5'8" role. And Joshy Papali, another cracking game as well. Mate, do you think the Raiders are the real deal for this year?
Yeah, look, mate, I think, given the injuries they had JB, John Bateman was out. Leilua was out. They lost Rapana. They've had a few issues there. So, Hudson Young was pretty good for them. He did end up playing the 80 as well. I didn't think he would. But, they do look the real deal. White looks really good at 5'8". When he's running the ball and taking on the line, he's just putting defences into 2 minds. And they've really tightened up their defence, which is probably, obviously the Roosters put a few on them early, which made it hard. But they fought back well and probably unlucky in the end. There was a late opportunity they had there with Kotrick with the ball over the top where he's just pretty much butchered it. And they could have levelled the game. So, I think Leilua was a big loss. Rapana's obviously injured now, which makes it a bit hard for them. But if they can get Bateman back and, Oldfield and someone else can just do a job, there's no reason why they can't continue. I think they're looking pretty good. I can't put my finger on it. There's just something about them this year.
Yeah, gotcha. And the final game to finish the round, mate, we saw the Bunnies basically get over a gallant Cowboys. The Cowboys probably had a better performance than they've had so far this season, but the Bunnies just showed how professional they are. Across the park, they've just got good players, despite obviously having some probably inexperienced and unproven backline. The forwards are just laying that platform so well, and Reynolds and Cody Walker are probably in career best form between them behind that forward pack. As you can see there, Cookie 146. Massive game. I didn't last too long with my sort of chest puffed out about Captain and Teddy because Cook put me in a very down mood very quickly.
Yeah, mate, it's the Cookie show. He's back. It's back-to-back tons for him now. 3 tons in the last five weeks. He's got a 85 average or something like that. If there's a set and forget captain, it's probably going to be this guy for me. It was the Cookie show. Yeah, and like you said, they've just got so many strike weapons across the park to complement it. Good luck stopping these guys this year. They look really, really good. And they're entertaining to watch too. They've just got so many weapons across the park. Whether it's Murray in the middle, Burgess on the edge, Walker on the left, Cookie up the guts as well. They've just got so many weapons.
They play Canberra this week, and I think one thing Canberra showed last week against the Roosters up at Suncorp was they're a little bit vulnerable up the middle still. And with blokes like John Bateman out, that sort of, that younger Hudson Young, obviously we talked about him coming in. Inexperienced there on the left-hand side, right-hand side for the Raiders, with obviously not so much Oldfield, obviously inexperienced, but just not the class of your BJ and Rapana. Cookie could just have another field day this week.
Yeah, I think it's that combination on the right edge that replaces Leilua and Rapana. They don't have any experience in that combo. And that's that left side of South, which is really potent, where Walker sort of tends to float. And, yeah, Cookie, like I said, he's just so dangerous. You give him an inch and he'll take a mile. He's just so quick off the mark. And, best player in the comp for mine.
Yeah. Previews for next week, mate. Thursday night, we see the Melbourne Storm take on the West Tigers down at Amy Park. So Melbourne Storm look heavy favourites there over the West Tigers, and rightfully so. What they showed last week against Parramatta was huge, but what we've seen tough this year is for teams to back up. So obviously Craig Bellamy, after their performance against Cronulla the week before, put a bomb up them, and it'll be interesting to see if they can hold the form going into this week. Friday night, we've got the Penrith Panthers up against the New Zealand Warriors. Two sides really struggling, mate. What do you see in this game? Obviously, a few changes from the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah, mate, heaps of changes there. Obviously, they've swung the axe on a few spots there. Aikens lost his spot. He was my cheapie for 13, around 12. The Mansword's been dropped. So I think Egan's not there as well. I'd have to have a look. I haven't had a close look at team list, but I'm imagining there'll be a few points scored in that one, and the Panthers really need to win it. I think, if Ivan Cleary's job's probably going to, believe it or not, probably be on the line. If they don't turn around pretty quickly, it's amazing just to think how much can change in sort of less than 12 months, mate. They had a coach lead them into a final series and gave him the sack, and picked up Cleary after said they wouldn't, and now look at them. So yeah, it's an interesting one. That'll be a real interesting game. I'm expecting lots of points.
Broncos and Roosters Friday night should be a good game here. Obviously, the Broncos they'll be expected to back up their form from the past week or so with that win over Manly, but the Roosters just seem unbeatable at the moment.
Big test for Brisbane. I think we'll see what happens with the trail, but you mentioned to me earlier in the week, and that inexperienced combo out there with Stags and Shish Kebab or whatever his name is. Yeah, they got a big task ahead of them, but good test for them. They're building a little bit of confidence. We'll see. There's every chance the Roosters just destroy them like South did a couple of weeks ago. But, good test for them, see where they're at. But I think the Roosters should win pretty easily, mate.
Another very average game on the Saturday, 3 p.m. game there. Titans and Bulldogs, two teams that are really struggling at the moment. The Bulldogs, look, obviously a few got cut there last week and a few changes. Those guys are back with Corey Harawira-Naera starting again. Reece Martin named on the bench, so not to start. Whether that changes come game day, we'll just have to wait and see. Not really too much thrilling about this game, even from a Supercoach perspective. The 5 o'clock game on Saturday, North Queensland Cowboys and Parramatta Eels. As I say, Cowboys, they sort of put up a fight last week against South Sydney. Again, probably not the class of those sort of top echelon of teams. And Parramatta Eels have been so inconsistent this year that just not sure what to expect.
Yeah, I think be wary of the teams that get pumped the previous week. The Eels are a much better team than what they showed on Saturday night. I don't know what happened there. Whether there's something else going on in the background around this. They've just established that Arthur will still be there, but I don't know what's going on there. But we'll see. They've got to travel up there. It's a bit warm up there in North Queensland, and the Cowboys are struggling as well. They'll be trying to do their best to get a win and low back there. That should be a good game. Marty Meow named in the middle there, so I think Reid Marnie starting for the Eels as well. So, yeah, that could be an interesting battle. Might not seem like the most exciting game, but should be a good contest.
Canberra Raiders, South Sydney, Saturday night, mate. This will be a cold one. No doubt it's starting to get a little bit chilly down in Canberra.
Absolutely.
To see a day game here. I've got to be honest, I'd love to see these two teams on a dry track on a Sunday afternoon at 2:00. I think the Supercoach points would be their premium in that time slot, but we'll see them on Saturday night, mate. You heading to the game for a shift or two?
Nah, but the missus is away, so playing dad. No chance to beat this one, and it is cold. be staying inside at the moment. Interesting for this one. A few injuries for both sides. Well, not so much. Not as bad for the Rabbitohs. Obviously, Alex Johnston out. Corey Allen will play fullback, and then this Hiroti will come onto the wing. But Nick Kotrick named at centre. Michael Oldfield pushed out to the wing. So interesting to see how that goes, Bud. But I think they're just trying to get Kotrick a bit closer to the action. They've got a couple other strike weapons back.
The only thing I'd say about that, I think Oldfield is a liability in defence. And I think Kotrick's probably just that bigger body and a little bit stronger there. So, they'll probably chop and change throughout the game, knowing them. Obviously, Kotrick might defend in the centres and Oldfield might attack in the centres or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. Mate, both our teams playing on Sunday this week, mate. Your boys head down out to Mudgee. St. George Illawarra Dragons versus Newcastle Knights taking their game to Mudgee. Wow.
Yeah, no, mate, all about the regional footy, taking it back to the country. So no doubt the coverage of the game will be poor, trying to watch it on TV, but that's not what these games are about. It's about giving back to the grassroots. And, so we'll be taking on Dragons out there. Look, we always tend to have some good hand sort of arm wrestles with the Dragons. They're a bit out of form at the moment. They'll be looking for a win, but they're still really dangerous. And, we're by no means in the clear just yet. We've won 3 on the trot, which is great, but we really need to be winning a game like this to cement it. Obviously, they stung us one not too long ago in Golden Point. That hurt us a little bit at the time, but again, this shapes up to be a really interesting one, and one that if we're sort of trying to prove we turn the corner, we got to win. We got to win. So,
mate, quick question about Kalen Ponga. When does he go big? When does he actually go massive? When does that sort of 150 to 170 point game show up?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I really thought it was going to be on the weekend when the first play sort of set Heimel Hunt up under the post, and then I don't know. There's got to be a game where we're not playing too bad. That game on the weekend, there was just a couple of moments where the momentum was turned and we just couldn't get any good ball. But he's just so close, like he's only one more attacking stat away from hitting the $1.10s and $1.10 plus. So it could be this week. I really don't know. He's just so dangerous. He's starting to roam around a bit more. I think combinations are starting to get just even better and better each week. But surely it's not too far away. We got a couple of rough games coming up after this stuff. It doesn't happen this week. I don't know. I think one of his best scores come against the Storm, though, to be honest. So it doesn't really matter who someone of his caliber's playing. It could be against anyone at any time. Probably this week because I won't captain him and I captained him last week.
Mate, Cronulla Sharks on the Sunday afternoon up against Manly Seagulls out at Western Sydney Stadium. Obviously, some injuries through both these teams. They're probably the two most injury-depleted teams in the comp at the moment. So it'll basically be watching a reserve grade team play a reserve grade team. These guys are just got to try and get through the next few weeks and try and get some troops back.
Yeah, I just look at those backs for the Eagles and just think how they even an NRL team. Their forward pack's still more than respectable, the Eagles, but yeah, I think you guys have a little bit more class in the outside backs. The love slapper's back, Dylan Walker. Oh, sorry. Interesting one there.
Innocent, not guilty.
Innocent, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so should be an interesting one. I think there's some potential in that one. Obviously, Fifi, there's a bit of conjecture around whether he'll play, so that's a bit of a pain being the last game of the round, mate, too. So have to see what happens there, but maybe I think it could be time for the Bronson Jerry to score a pie or two, and I probably wasn't going to play him unless Fafita's out.
Could be. We'll transfer over to the trades, mate.
Change places! Change places!
And recapping from last week, mate. These were yours in last week. Caleb Aikens, unfortunately, you stuck with this one, mate?
Yeah, I feel like, was that last week's? I feel like maybe it was last week's. Whatever happened there, I've got Aikens. I've brought in
Well, you didn't go
Aikens
Reece
and
Martin,
then...
so you got-
No, I didn't go Martin. Maybe that's what's thrown me. I thought that was... I've lost track of time, to be honest. But if that's what I did last week, I did the Aikens trade. He's obviously been relegated 21st man in that squad this week, so that's fantastic. Looking good there. I thought Edwards was on the outer and he might have had a bit more security, but Edwards from somewhere has been named to start, so I've got no idea what's going on there. Obviously, Penrith's struggling at the moment, so yeah, anyway, I'll keep him there till at least 12 and then go from there. And yeah, Reece Martin, I thought he was a great buy last week, but as it turned out, there's a bit of mail made about that he might not got the start, and I actually ended up bringing in Kickout instead, which didn't work out for me at all. But yeah, look, he'll be a pod and he'll play round 12. And it was interesting because actually I made that trade and the mail wasn't actually 100% at that point, and I was sort of filthy thinking that Martin might actually still play, but as it turned out, he didn't. I mean, even though he's been named this week and he's off the bench, I just think all that stuff around getting dropped and has happened a few times. Just don't need those headaches at this point. So end up going kick out. Didn't pay off. I could have gone Fisher Harris, but I thought, I'll try go kick out. Got a bigger ceiling, bit of a pod. Didn't pay off this week, but maybe in the next few weeks it pays off for me.
What did I get after that? My trades from last week. Mate, I did these trades. I basically did them before the round had started, and as soon as that Thursday night game kicked off, they were locked in. Blake Ferguson in for John Bateman. Obviously, Bateman out with that fractured eye socket. Fergo didn't go too well. I think he scored about 30 points or 31 points. But, he was playing in a side that got beat 64-10. So not too much to cheer about across the park for the Eels. I think the week before, him and Sivo both ran for over 200 metres. And this week they didn't even run for that combined. So bit of a tough week for them. Lachlan Burrow went to Jason Tamalolo. Now, Tamalolo played decent minutes. 72 or 73 points, I think he scored. So solid enough, but didn't really get any attacking stats on the board against the Bunnies. A few offloads here or there. But pretty happy just to have him on my team, and I don't really have to worry about it now. I've got him in there.
He's back.
Yeah. And we've got trades this week, mate. Who we got? This is you, mate?
Yeah, Bateman, John Bateman. Going to Lolo. I don't think you can afford to hold John Bateman. He's got the high break even. He won't play round 12 now. You'll also miss him for round 16. And, who knows when he'll actually be back. And then when he does, he's got to score 100. So to sort of keep his price, if it turns out he only scores 50, you might get him at a fairly bit discounted price after that. So, going Lolo this week. He's a little bit discounted. I missed out on some points last week, but yeah, he dropped about nearly 40k. So take that straight in. And the other one, I'm not too sure yet. I'm really about to give up on round 12, to be honest. I'm thinking maybe a Dylan Brown to a Dearden or something like that, just sort of figuring out what I might do elsewhere, but definitely doing this one. You?
Yeah, so, mate, just the one trade for me as well.
Lisa now. Interesting.
No. What have you done here, Bogan? You fucking stitched me up here. It's just not my trade. I've gone for feeder out. I've gone Manu Mau. Manu Mau. The Parramatta.
This is his cousin.
This year, his cousin.
I entered into NRL.com the spelling that you gave me for Mau, and this is the only player that came up. So if there's a fucking apostrophe
there's an
or
apostrophe thing, yeah,
it's fucking an apostrophe between the A and the U.
I reckon he's a good choice. I reckon he's a good choice anyway. Look at his promo picture. He's a big boy.
Yeah, Manu
he has actually been quite good. He's actually been quite good for the Warriors. To be fair, Joshy, I actually maybe going to look at him, given the coincidence this week.
No.
Well, do so at your peril.
Mate, I'm going for feeder to Manu Mau. Look, Andrew Feeder, break even 141, has somehow been named to play this week. Look, this guy's knees are shot. His hamstrings are screwed. Last time we saw a hint of a hamstring, I think he scored 96 the next game. So, look, could very well burn me. But the fact that he doesn't play 13 and that he's got that massive BE, I just can't take another 19 score. I think there's going to be injuries this season until he actually takes the time, goes away from the park, gets the surgeries that he needs done. He's just going to be a liability. He can't run at the moment. He fucking basically waddles around the park. So, look, if he... At the end of the day, if he's fit, he's the best front row forward in the game. It's as simple as that. He's the quickest. He's the most athletic. Payne Haas is probably the one behind him when he gets a little bit of experience under his belt. But for now, with how injured he is, he's just one of the rest. So I'm going to take Manu Mao, who's dual position, second row forward, centre wing. Just a little bit of a pod. He's only got 1% ownership, Manu Mao, at the moment. Does play 13. Has been named to start in the lock this week for the Parramatta Eels. They play the Cowboys, so he could bag a pie or two, and hopefully that risk can come off. So, yeah, just ignore that one on your screen, ladies and gents at home. It's Manu Mao, not Lisa Mao coming in for me. What do we got after SuperCoach Fortune Teller? Now, just to clarify, all right, we know the bet. Half a dozen raw eggs in a glass down the hatch and a big tablespoon of cat food. Order of consumption completely up to the loser that has to drink it. All right. Who's first? Bogan? Who we got up first? Switch to them. Joshy. Ton up. Go on, Latrell. Look, playing the Broncos Friday night, the fact that he's going to line up opposite either Katoni Staggs or, what do you call him, Shish Kebab? Shibashaki, the Japanese samurai. I just think there's a chance that he could absolutely destroy him. The fact that the Roosters are playing so well as well, they played at Suncorp last week. They can back up there again. I'm pretty happy with him. The redemption arc, I've gone Blake Ferguson. Now, I brought him in last week with the expectations he'd play a lot better than that, specifically because they were playing the Melbourne Storm. But, look, the whole team just didn't turn up last week, so hoping they can bounce back there. And, obviously against the Cowboys, might be able to score a try or two in the corner. My wild and wacky this week, now, call it what you will. I don't care whether you think it's wild or wacky. My wild and wacky this week is for every player named in the halfback position. Not halfback, 5'8" position. Every player named in the 5'8" position, combined total score at SuperCoach to outscore every player named at fullback. So, example, you've got Keary up against Tedesco. You've got Munster up against, Pappenhausen, those kinds of things. So basically, your 5'8" combined score to beat your fullback combined score. I actually looked through the teams, and it's basically, I'd probably pick 8 versus 8. So I think it's a true toss of the coin there. But if blokes like RTS and Teddy go big, I could be in a bit of strife.
And that's so we're going. It's the players that are named at 6 and 1 this week. If there's a late change, someone.
Well, basically, whoever goes into their spot. So, like, if you've got someone who comes in 18, whoever's named at that 6th spot.
Righto.
Let's say the Roosters have a late change and Keary's out, Latrell goes in there. I get Latrell.
Yeah, righto. This will be interesting. Team list before kickoff could be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what are yours, mate?
Yeah, well, every week I seem to do this. I go the same players in each one, and every week I just don't get it. So you're probably going to be safe here. I've gone Mitchy Moses, ton up. I guess they are playing up there. I'm expecting them to bounce back, and this bloke's definitely got it in him. A lot of their stuff comes off the back of this kid. I think the only thing about this is they're going up there, so the Cowboys tend to step up a bit in front of their home crowd. But, yeah, I think the Eels need to bounce back. It was pretty embarrassing from them last week, and A lot of it will centre off the back of Mitchell Moses. Similarly, I think Reid Marnie got sort of dumped to the bench in the Storm game. That plan backfired. As a result, he only scored 20-odd points, but I'm thinking, he's an important part of this Eels team. There's obviously a bit of mail around that he might actually be in line for the Queensland 9, but yeah, I think he'll bounce back and he'll be the 75 plus. I'm banking on him getting over for a meat pie. And my wild and wacky, I've got no idea. I have. We came up with originally it was something to do with the Moses. Anyone with the name Moses in their name scores 300 points or more, but there's only like 3 Moses players: Moses and Mbai, Mitchell Moses, and Moses Leota. So I'm looking for a bit of guidance on this one at the moment because I haven't really thought it through. And given what's on,
hang on.
Given what's on the line, it needs to be pretty substantial. So what if
what Bogan in the background here. Do you reckon he goes the fullback option over my 5'8"? Or hang on, I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
If he mirrors your bet,
I'm not certain I'll win that one.
It guarantees a result at least for the wild wacky. If you take the opposite to Joshy.
Interesting. So, what, Josh, you don't actually like the Sixers all of a sudden?
Well, mate, no. I looked at it today. I thought I'm a chance, but then I looked at it. I'm up against Tedesco. I'm up against RTS. I'm up against Kalen Ponga. Those blokes could cost 600 between them, But it's up to you, mate. What do you think?
Oh, jeez, mate. It's
And if you agree to this, don't call it a fucking stitch up next week.
Oh, I'm not going to call it
a. I'm not going to call it a stitch up when he's called everything else a stitch up.
So we want a result from it, or you want me to go something else? I can just go.
Stop fucking going with, but I like the idea. But mate,
so do you want the Sixers or the ones?
Come up with your Mitchell Moses. I'm going the Sixers. I've already sort of selected that. That's fine.
Well, I can't. I'm not very creative, but I'd be like, the props wearing 10 outscore the props wearing 8, but that's only in the back of yours. I'm happy to take fullbacks.
Mate, props. You never know with these props, mate. They can't fucking read. They probably put the wrong number on.
Yeah, true.
What was your Moses one, mate? Your 3 Moses players score how much?
Nah, it was a suggestion by the Bogan because I said Mitchell Moses to turn up to him. He said the Moseses score a combined total of 300 points or more, but there's no way I'm freaking taking.
There's no way that mate, Moses Leota would be lucky to score 30 himself.
Well, and it was Moses Sully as well, but he's out this week. The Tigers play the Storm, so Mbai's not doing anything. Look, I'm sort of, this is a bit ordinary. What about Listen Mao outscores Manu Mao?
All right, done. Hands on.
Are you happy with that?
That's like, yeah, let's go with that.
I'll take that. That's as much as a 50-50 as the Sixers and ones, right?
As you see on the screen,
is Al Mao playing this week?
I've got no idea, to tell you the truth.
He's there. He's starting
BJ and Game Day. We've got our Facebook page, BJ and Game Day. Supercoach group code 701-371. I've still got to jump on the board, that one.
There's a few in the group.
BJ League. Now, last week, we had a few lads score over 1,400.
Wow.
Unfortunately, no one got to 1,500. There were a couple of leagues I was in. A couple of lads got to 1,500. But Big Ted, gold medal this week, 14.24. Cracking game from him. Came home huge with Damien Cook as captain, as a few people did. Well done to Brendo. Took home the silver medal, 1,406. And I managed to scrape in with the bronze at 1,403 there. So happy there with the weekly effort there from me. Going
massive
to
scores, massive scores, mate.
Yes, Bunning snags. I've caught up 24 points on it. 24 points only. But good news there for Charlie White. Jumped up from 53rd up to 41st. So has continued to trend on upwards. I think he's still around about probably 300 points behind the leader or something like that. So he's still got a fair way to go to catch up. But we'll be trying to give him all the right tips here and there and get him on the right path. Mate, you dropped back from second to third?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like everyone's playing for second anyway. The Snags got it wrapped up. But no, look, I honestly expected a lot of much more declines given my score. But yeah, I'll take it if I can get away with that this week, and I'm still sitting in third by 40 odd. That'll do me, and hopefully I can make up for it the next few weeks before I get smashed by the boys.
And as you can see there, Blakey, he jumped up to second with 1,390. And that was actually the top of the table clash. So they're top of the table overall now, and they were top of the table in head-to-head. But last week it was Rangers that got up. You can see the third game there. Actually beat the Bunnies 11 points. So massive scores.
Some really sick scores in the head-to-heads this week, mate. Like we're 1,400 beats 1,399. Yeah, there's some real sick stuff going on in these head-to-heads, isn't it?
Massive scores.
The Bashers gave you a bit of a scare, mate. Yeah.
What's that?
Bashers cracked the ton. They gave you a scare with Gallen on the Thursday night.
He gave me a scare. This bloke hasn't changed his team from the start. Gallen scores 106 before updates, and he's frigging captained him. And I didn't have I had Fafita. I think I had 3 players in that game: Fafita, Arrow, and Nakora. And I was 100 points behind, and he had 1 player as his captain. I thought, here's a stitch up, but I've managed to kick on for the week and get the victory, which was good. Flicking over the page there, Bogan, we'll see plenty more good scores here. Who we got there? Double Demon with Stevie. Managed to get Marty's team by 5 points. Some good scores over 1,300 there. Hell's Granny's got over Checkmate. Munner will be a little bit disappointed in that week, 1,253. But as you say, mate, you think mid-1200s as a score you'd be happy with, but this week it was just sort of that below par, wasn't it?
Yeah, crazy. Just like I said, it was one of those weeks for the ages where like 1,300 was the norm. Head-to-heads, a few lucky ones there myself with mid-1200s and drawing some other 1200s. But, yeah, the Snakes weren't as lucky. Smashed by the Ginger. Fire and Ice rolled the fucking Cowboys. So I think...
3 in a row for Fire and Ice, yeah.
Fire and Ice.
She's on fire there. Unintended.
And, they're rolling Newcastle Knights-esque. So, yeah, all happening in the head-to-head, bud.
And as you can see, the league here, with that win, Rangers de Janeiro kicked away 7-0. He is undefeated. Brendo's had a draw in there as well at one stage, so he's sitting on second. Managed to jump over the Bunning Snags, but Charlie back in third spot there with the bronze. And the winner of the head-to-head, just to mention it again, will receive either the Carmichael Hunt or the Mark Asnier figurine. Absolutely priceless, those 2 items.
Yeah, at the winner's discretion.
Fixtures for next week. Gangsters Gagas up against Dr. Kane Endo. Bunning Snags and Big Ted. Big Ted, he'd be looking forward to knocking off Charlie. Would have been a cracking game last week, just like he had against Kaloi. The Threat, won't worry about him. I got Blake. I'm going to knock him
chance.
Off. First loss of the season for Blake here. I've subbed in the big Manu Mao, not Lisa Narmau, and that's going to be the difference this week. So I've got him here. Marty's team against Brendo, both these guys in good form, so that'll be a good match. Over the page, who we got? Hells, Grannies, and Tunnels. No? The Bash, won't worry about them. Ponga, you and Woodsy, mate. Nice little head-to-head match there. Ginger and Sheck, mate. Leanne takes on Trent with What's a Pod. And we've got the Bogan Tunnel Snakes up against Mark, one of our Season 1 players, and the fucking Cowboys. So some good matchups there again, mate. Week in, week out. We're pretty excited.
Yeah, mate. Heavy league, this one. Yeah. Devastated. What's that?
Pretty devastated.
About what?
The these two fucking muppets are in our league.
It's a bit disappointing, isn't it? This would have been one of our strongest leagues by far.
We are absolutely cruising. I think we've got, out of the 20 of us, I think we've got about probably 11 players in the top 10,000 at the moment. We're just flying. So I'll have to join this group code because apparently there's a few more players in that as well, and they're flying along too. So I'll jump on board with that one. But just a little bit devastated. I think last year our league finished around, I think it was about 90th overall at the end of the season. So we were pretty happy with that and hoping to sort of, improve on that. And I think without these two guys there, we'd be around that same sort of average. Most players in our league are averaging sort of that 1150. So, yeah, it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, everyone bar those two clowns at the back there are averaging well over 1,000. The Snakes, believe it or not, is the worst with a 1048 average, which is still solid as. So, but pretty much otherwise there's only 3 people not averaging 1,100, which is just heavy scoring, mate, heavy. But,
guys, that's it for another week. I think we might have cracked just under the hour this week, which is good. Mate, anything else to add?
No, I think form is temporary, class is permanent. Anyone can score 1,400 when you have 6,000 players score tons. Let's see what happens this week.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Catch you next week. Cheers.